to ask about another incident in this game, though, and I want to refer to Samuel first, who's kind of a neutral to today's game. Did the referee make a big mistake, in your opinion? Were City robbed of an opportunity to win the game at the end by blowing up for a foul when Jack Grealish was through on goal? How big a mistake do you think that is from the referee?
That was a howler, an absolute howler. Like Tottenham fans, any other fans, like you watch that, and I was watching the replay, and it's like Simon Hooper allowed he had his hand up to allow the advantage, and it's like as soon as Grealish went through, he blew his whistle, and it was just like, what? Now, obviously, I'm happy because Man City have dropped points, but if I'm going to be objective, that was a howler. How do you like? You should have just let it go. It's an advantage. Just let it go. And Man City have every right to be angry about that, to be fair. So, yeah, it's a howler.
How about from a Spurs fan's point of view, Reece, as an example, do you feel like you've got away with one there?
Yeah, maybe. I actually thought originally that Grealish was offside. That's why I thought he didn't see an advantage. That's why he pulled it back. But obviously, the replay showed that he was onside. There's not much to say. Like, it just is a bit of a stinker from him, isn't it? Like, we got away with one. I think whoever was running back, I reckon they would have took the red as well and brought him down. That's just my opinion, just because of the emotion of the game. But yeah, we got away with it on. It doesn't mean he was going to score it either. But yeah.
I hear you on that. V, how about yourself? I know City fans don't like to call out refereeing decisions, but
Terry, you know us well. You know us very well. We don't call out the refs like that. But I almost threw the remote at the TV. I can't lie. I was watching the ref, and as he extended his hand play through, I was like, okay, let's see what happens here. And I get why the players, even Haaland, he was irate. He was still, even when the final whistle was blown. But to go back to early in the game, and Alan, you know what, Alan, you guys should have won is how you see this. I can't believe this, but Haaland missing that open early, Doku hitting the crossbar post. This game was that close, and I think both teams showed that they were going for it, and we're going to continue to get teams playing like that. But I think we score one of those. It's different. I don't think that Ange would change his attacking style, but in terms of like settling down, because we were looking to get a lot more comfortable in that game after giving those goals, after those goals happened so early in the game. But man, it's a what if with regards to this non-call for the ref. Whether we get an apology or whatever they say, I don't care. My focus is, and I don't want this non-call to paper over any cracks. We were not good today. We were not good at home, I think, for the second time, and we can't keep doing this.
I hear you on that, and well said. We've got some super chats here I want to do and get people's views and opinions on. Jerome here says, I don't want to be negative again, but is it so much for us to, but it is so much like us to draw against City and then lose against West Ham. But I think it's when you get results like today, you can't. I know your manager just come in. I know he's installing a philosophy into your football club. But if you can create a situation where you get a draw away at the Etihad, you can't lose to West Ham at home. That's criminal. Because I still think even with your injuries, you're a better team than West Ham, personally. So there we go. This says, as a United fan, it hurts to see other teams giving their all while some of our players lack commitment. Still, what a game. Yeah, it is painful to watch. I watch with such envy, but I just don't let the envy cloud my opinion because that would be horrible. They shouldn't have excuses, Terry. The ref made a huge error, but if they weren't sloppy defensively and scored their chances, it wouldn't matter. But this is true. I think refereeing decisions should be called out irrespective. I don't think you should just put them into a vacuum and say, that's it, City were robbed. They couldn't have done anything to change the game themselves, but I hear you. Being an Arsenal fan, I am a little nervous to say that this is going to be Arsenal's to give away. League is so unpredictable. Game management by Mikel is good, but players need to kill off games. Spurs fans, are you a little concerned, though, that you've given a big advantage, potentially a big advantage to Arsenal here?
No.
Or is that no concern of yours at all?
No
No,
one
yeah.
bit.
Look, at the end of the day, yeah, Man City have had a bad run of results and they're behind pretty much what they were behind last season. Arsenal bottled it last season and bottled it again this season. Man City will win the league. It's as simple as
Exactly.
that.
There we go. Jerome here says, Ange is inserting a philosophy in the club. Of course, he is not going to change his style for no one. We clearly need reinforcements in January. Yeah, I mean, I think you guys find that fair. I think it's just learning how to manage in the Premier League you need to do rather than adjust. It's adjustments, not change. And I think that's what needs to happen. You look at City today. Doku's injured. They bring on Grealish. And everyone's got to try to a degree to try and get to that point where you're bringing on a player where you go, and when Man United were great, we had this. Liverpool have had this when they've been a brilliant team. Arsenal when they were great. City, Chelsea when they were great. You get an injury or two and you're not worried about who's coming in. That's when you know your squad's in good shape. Agree, Pep has not got anything wrong. Players will need to pick up a bit. As an Arsenal fan, I hope it does not happen, is what Rakesh says here, towards what V was saying. All for results, but Spurs still have one from the last 12 points available.
All for the results, but Spurs still have 1 or 2 out of 12 points. This is true, but we also had ridiculous amount of injuries with a team. With Spurs have got an 11. We haven't got a squad because it's new under Ange. This is why I said, and this is what I see all the fans literally putting in the comments who can't understand a single sentence that's performed on this. I'll do it again. It's me being honest. Spurs are starting from scratch with Ange. We're building to a team. You need 2 or 3 transfer windows or 2 or 3 seasons to build. Arsenal had that after season 3 or 4. They kicked into gear. Look what they're doing now. They're up there challenging on a consistent basis. Last season, this season, it's what Spurs will be doing. But our board has to get it right. They have to give the funds. They have to be able to back and give Ange the players he wants to develop a squad over time. Harry went early this season that we could win it. That's not where I sit. I give praise because I see the idea behind the way we're playing. Plus that, again, people in the comments still can't understand things. In 2 or 3 years, for me, Spurs, if we continue doing the right things and getting the right people in for Ange, Spurs can be challenging in 2 or 3 seasons because that's how long it's going to take to build.
Yeah.
We're not doing it in 2 transfer windows.
I hear, and I think that's why we also said earlier, it's now important for Spurs to go and beat West Ham because then it's growing on these results, which is going to be absolutely key. When we take the lead, especially the last 20 minutes, I think we can just sit back, and that's what when teams are most dangerous. Big up V, and also how can I call you guys more City fans? Do you know what? Next show we'll open up the call lines, no problem at all, my friend.
Hard to find.
Sorry, bro.
It's hard to find City fans, obviously, but yeah, carry on. Sorry.
Imagine if City signed Rice. I mean, yeah, it's why they went for him. So is Pep at fault? Why not play Nunes? Give him a chance.
Nunes wasn't even on the bench today. Kovacic obviously came on late. It's that. Listen, there's time for these players to get into the form, get into what's asked of them, and I don't doubt that they will. That they're not available now, but it has nothing to do with that. Even the players that started today, they weren't consistent enough. And I'll say this because I'm gonna have to drop off, Terry. But I said that this was going to be the most difficult season to win the title, and I think it's across the board, not just for City, but for Arsenal and Liverpool. The way those 2 teams, the way they spent in this offseason, it's going to be a fight. And look at the amount of goals that were scored this past weekend. Right? Like Fulham went after Liverpool. That wasn't an easy game for them. This wasn't an easy game for us. I think it's going to be a huge fight to remain at the top. Terry, is difficult to do. You've got Liverpool that have only won 1. They want that second one. You got Arsenal that have been hungry, starving, and they want it really bad. So, man, we got to fix up if we're going to be able to do our thing.
I hear you, and I hear you. Go on,
sorry,
Alan.
Before Veta goes, sorry, Veta, Nunes was playing. Darwin Nunes missed that open goal, didn't he, today? Oh, no, sorry. Sorry.
Cheers, V. Top man, bro. Thank you. The biggest miss today was that haircut of his. It was a madness, bruv. I told City fans they would miss Riyad Mahrez, 15 goals again off the bench. Massive player. And listen, there's another super chat here that says something similar. That's, Gundogan and Mahrez leaving. Yeah. All these things play a part. KDB being out. It impacts everybody. It's hard to replace that level of quality. So I think all these things will play a factor. Imagine if City had signed Rice instead of Arsenal. I mean, he's been brilliant. Yeah, listen, it would have changed everything. Ibby here says, great game to watch. If City got Rice, they would have walked the league, in my opinion. Thankfully, we got him. I cannot rely on Rodri all the time to cover defensively, especially when he's up against decent midfields. After Luton, Arsenal have Villa and Liverpool. We might drop points. Thank you, Spurs, for giving Arsenal and Liverpool a rest. Arsenal need to beat Luton on Tuesday. Well, this is it. If Arsenal beat Luton and then lose to Villa, lose to Liverpool, then suddenly it's worrying. Beat Villa, beat Liverpool, just putting it out there. Suddenly then Arsenal will find themselves in a very, very, very different situation altogether. City missed chances after chances. You should be complaining about that, not the ref. That's to the Manchester City fans saying it. Igao is here with us now on the show.
There you are. I've been waiting.
This says also, I thought something Spurs. I don't know what I was meant to say. Thought Spurs ran out away with the league. Okay. Yo swore that Spurs were title contenders. What happened? Always stay humble. That's only Harry, to be fair. It's only Harry on this panel that said that. And young Daniel. Yeah, I think young Daniel's away at the minute. I think he's in Puerto Rico. He says he's got bad Wi-Fi. Spurs are City's kryptonite. It's true. Dude, hold your manager accountable. Anyone sees the flaws in this formation, especially with Walker and Alvarez. He has cost you in big games. Interesting take. Spurs didn't deserve a point today.
Cry more.
Yeah, I mean, Gal, let me ask you, Gal, here. Do you think Spurs deserved the point today, Gal? As an Arsenal fan watching, do you think you agree with this super chat from Robert?
You got to give them credit. Fair play to Tottenham. Honestly, you can't watch that game and come out of it and be like, oh, they didn't deserve it. One thing you can say is, what was the referee thinking blowing the whistle in that situation when the players threw on goal? I think everyone can agree there. But hey, as Ange Postecoglou said, you don't want to. The referees have a tough job, right? So let it be. I'm here more to talk about Man City. These guys have been getting away with it for the longest time, where they have these kind of games and they always come out on top and they win. Now you're seeing situations where they play Tottenham, they play Liverpool, they play Chelsea, successive draws. In addition to that, Terry, in the last 4 games, if I'm not mistaken, they've conceded 10 goals. They were one of the best defenses in the league over the last couple of years. Not only that, we talk about Erling Haaland being this great striker that he is, and I'm not gonna lie, he's an amazing striker. But in these games, when they need a goal, the service is not there. KDB is obviously not there. Gundogan's not there. The service is not there to the level where they used to have it. He's not scoring the same amount of goals as last season. And this team, this Man City team, this juggernaut of a Man City team, 4 games this season, 4 big games this season, they've come out with 4 points. If this was Tottenham last season, if this was Tottenham Man City last season, like it was last year, Tottenham score those goals, City have another goal in them. This season, they just didn't have it. And Ange Postecoglou, I was expecting for you guys to get absolutely hammered. 4 fullbacks, him coming out and saying we're going to give it a go. Fair play. I can't come here and have any criticism for Tottenham because one, they said what they were going to do and they did it. And this is now the second time they've done that. It makes the point that we got at Emirates look a little bit better now that you see Man City also drop points to them at home. And don't forget, when we drop points to them, they had a fully fit squad. This Tottenham team has big players missing. You got their 2 center halves missing. You have Maddison missing, and they're putting in a performance like that. That's where you got to give Tottenham credit. You can't come here and say, oh, they got lucky. At the end of the day, there's an element of luck in every game. There's small margins in these games.
And look, I think you look at it as well. City missed their chances. One good save from Vicario. Missing a chance is no different. Missing sitters and open goals is no different to what Basuma did.
Yeah.
It's a different area of the football pitch, but it's still an error. It just isn't ever classified in that way. And Haaland missed 2 absolute sitters. The shots that hit the post and the bar, they're off-target shots. So at the end of the day, when you're missing great opportunities, that's no different to a defender giving the ball away that leads to a goal or a goalkeeper letting the ball. I mean, in fairness as well, he hasn't even been called out today because if his name was Onana, he would be. The first shot from Son, it's gone underneath Ederson. It's not even that good a shot. A bit of power. That should have been saved fairly simplistically by a world-class goalkeeper. But yeah, City never get this. I get why they don't get the same criticism because they win so much and they have so much credit in the bank. But They do. Whether they
Erling
get better
Haaland
or not
needs some smoke, though,
whether they
Terry.
get better or not is irrelevant. They are off key right now, and they should be criticised. And I think, of course, the fans are going to protect Pep, but he's up against a lot of pressure this year with two teams now really pushing him for his title, and the likes of Everton and Spurs closely following behind.
Two people deserve criticism. One, Erling Haaland, because he's the main man. He's the guy who's supposed to get them out of problems, and he's missing gilt edge chances in games. It might not be this game, but I need to see a hat trick from him soon, because he's not the same guy that we were seeing last year. And maybe it was just difficult for him to maintain that without the service. Number two, what has happened to the defense in the last couple of games? Because this defense was unpenetrable last season. Their defense this season has been leaking a lot of goals. And it's not a coincidence that when you have less control of games, you don't have as much chances created, you're not finishing off teams early, you can't focus as much on the defense, and you're going to have more open games. The Chelsea game, okay, let that slide. But two successive games like this, you look at it and you got to say to themselves, do City have an issue defensively now? It's not only because obviously goals are always going to be there, but for them to concede 10 goals, Terry, it's not about the goalkeeper. Is it the system? Is it the players? What is different that's causing this leaky defense at this moment in time? Is it just John Stones not available always like he was last year? Is that the difference? John Stones coming back, KDB coming back?
I think I hear people saying about obviously being on a hangover from the treble. And don't get me wrong, I think that could be true. But I'm also seeing almost like a hangover from the City fans. Like in that stadium today, it sounded like you could hear a pin drop other than the Spurs fans. If they weren't there, it was just so flat.
Wait,
and this
sorry.
is, yeah, go on.
Have you been to the Etihad before?
Yeah, I have you.
Yeah. When I went a couple of seasons ago, we won VAR, Kane scored right at the end.
Yeah.
Genuinely, they are the worst fan base in the whole country.
But this is what I'm trying to say, because in these past performances when they're not getting results, their fans are not behind them, right? But then this is the reason they're so good is because towards the end of the season they'll go on a 10-game run. This is when the fans like start to pick up, but get behind them, because they know that they need to win these games. But at the moment, they're like, oh, we'll be fine. Like, we'll go on this 10 game
There's
run.
almost a little complacency from the fans. It's all going to be okay. And I think I definitely heard that too. On your point, Igal, I just looked at this, and it's really interesting because Arsenal have been called out that this whole nonsense that a good defense can win you a league, for the first time ever being downplayed. City have conceded as many goals in the last 4 matches as Arsenal have done in their last 12. And it's Arsenal that are now starting to grow a gap at the top of the league, which if City continue in this vein for just one more game and Arsenal continue in their vein for one more game, that could be a 6-point gap, which is bigger than at this stage last year. So yes, Arsenal have less points, but I'd rather have less points than a 6-point gap than more points than a 5-point gap at the end, and be harder to beat, harder to break down, harder to score goals against. Those things, and that's the one thing with City, they're not rubbish and they're not easy to play against. But in the context of a title race, they're allowing too many teams to break their lines with passing compared to most seasons. And those little extra, you add those up over the course of a season, that might be an extra 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 points dropped. And if that happens and Liverpool and Arsenal maintain their levels, they're not winning the league again.
Terry, mark my word, Aston Villa at home are one of the toughest games in this league at this moment in time. I could see Aston Villa coming out of that game with another draw, and that could be then maybe 4 successive draws in a row.
It could. It really, really could. Let's do some more of these super chats here.